Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day, whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. I'm glad you're all here. Today we've got a really cool knife to talk about, a little bit different, and this is the Tactile Turn Archer. Very unique little knife. It's got some things that are really good about it, some things that I think are not so great about it. But before we get started, I want to thank any of you who've taken the time to come in, check out the knife and EDC content. I really appreciate you. If you're so inclined and you hadn't had the chance yet, if you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon, it really helped me out. And thank you all to the channel members who support the channel. I appreciate you all more than you know. This is the new knife from Tactile Knife Company. It's called the Archer. It's a pretty basic American-made frame lock with a traditional flipper tab, a 3/4 inch backspacer that has tactile on the back, the only blade marking on it, very thin package, perfectly centered blade, snaps open, has a little bit, maybe it's a drop point, but to me, because of the handle, it looks to be a trailing point. Got very good action once you get past that detent. That detent is right there. So if you get up there, it will fall through. But if you get up there and you don't get it good, it will pop back. But all you got to do is let that come down a little bit further on your finger and you're fine. So the action of this knife, this what I call angel hair feather milling, is gorgeous. It looks like you've got a captive pivot here. I've not taken it apart. T8s all the way around. You do have, again, this flipper tab, which works great as a push button. It also works very well as a flipper tab. Now, one thing I notice is the sharpening choil is non-existent. Even though it curves back here where the plunge is, your blade stays thick to right here. So you might get one sharpening out of it. So that's not super great, but maybe they can change that. And I think you could cut where's that stop pin? It's an internal stop pin, but maybe you could cut a choil in there. And then you've got this little bit of gripping behind the hole, which really I can't flip it from there, but you can flick it from up in front of the hole. So this is a full size, I want to say a full size knife. Let's look at it next to our cold steel 4-max. Now a little baby banter. Let's look at it next to the Bitch-Made bug out. Bigger than the bug out. It's got Spider Military 2. It's about the same size and length as the Pair 2. And it is going to be a little thinner, which you would think that would be a huge advantage. But I'm going to point out a few what I perceive to be negatives about this knife that I would like to see changed in the next iteration. So it's a thin knife. Thin knives are great. However, this clip, for me, for my hand, and I've had a big buddy of mine tell me, now they didn't cut with it like I did, but it didn't seem to bother them too much. This clip is an absolute nightmare in my hand. These angles down here and up here are all pretty sharp. It's pretty angular. Seems like it could be rounded over a little more. The action is great. The blade shape, it's okay. I mean, it's not, blades are all subjective. As long as the task that they're up for is going to be fine. And this knife, as an EDC knife, I'm sure would be fine. MagnaCut, heat treated very well. Very slicey. And when I hold it back like that, it's not uncomfortable, but when I go to grip it, to cut cardboard or to rip cardboard, you really do feel that clip. It's like a triple wall. So I do feel it in my hand, right? Now it goes in and out of pocket pretty easily. I don't give it a downside there. I think for me, it's a beautifully crafted knife. I love what Tactile Knife Co does. However, I think there are a few things that could have been thought out or done a little better, in my humble opinion. And I stress the word humble because some people love this knife. And the action is to die for. The flip is to die for. The rear flipper tab's to die for. It's just, to me, very hot on that clip. And another thing is, this knife sells for $599, made in the USA. And just to give you some comparison, this is a Hinderer XM24. It sells for $425. I added a titanium scale to it, which made it $625. So this Hinderer XM18, which I'm not saying it's a better knife, I am, but you might not say it's a better knife, is going to be $50 more. I would invest an extra $50 in a knife like this before I invested in a knife like that. So we take it to the next level. This is a thin knife. This is going to be a little smaller. I don't have the full size areas, but this is a smaller knife that uses some of the same CNC refinements, and the clip is very, very comfortable. Similar thickness, and this knife, I want to say, was $100 more than this knife, than this Tactile Knife Company. I would much rather pay $100 more for this. And then I look at another USA-made knife that gets a lot of hate. And this is the Medford Midi Marauder. Now, MagnaCut, S90V, DLT's S90V. I'm a big fan in S90V. This knife is thin. It's on bearings. It might not have the action that this one does, but it also doesn't have that double clutch. But you're probably looking at $75, maybe $100 difference between these two knives. I personally would rather have the Medford. And then you come to a knife like the Tim McNeese or Chris McNeese Mac 2, which is a fantastic knife. Takes about the same pocket real estate. Both in MagnaCut. Both heat treated very well. This one's using more CNC than this one. However, the action, the blade, everything about this one, in my opinion, is a win over this one. And it's not that this is a bad knife, guys. This knife just has some problems that I can't quite get past, and it's mainly that clip and how it feels in my hand, and also how these angles, especially here where this lock bar cutout is, it's sharp. Where a lot of these other knives, even my Medford, feel very, 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 very nice in hand. So guys, that is the Tactile Turn Archer. Great knife, if that's your thing, right? My big negatives are, I'm not a fan of the blade shape. I'm not a fan of the clip. And I'm not a fan of the sharp edges that happen to make my hand feel a little bit uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean that it would make your hand feel uncomfortable. So check out the knife. But for $600 for an American-made knife, I think there are better options out there. Guys, that's just my honest opinion. And I don't have anything against this knife. I think it's beautiful. But please, please, please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please, please, please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other. Go forward with love in your hearts. Always choose debate, not hate. Be up. Know I love you all. And peace.